Amazing idea. Perfect. Welcome to another episode of Gaming Podcast, episode 77. Basically, our Assassin's Creed review episode. Steve Sailor, what's going on, my man?
Doing okay. You know, it's it's another week. It's another fun week of gaming stuff. GDC's happening right now, so there's a lot of indie games that have been just announced. I was just going through the Mix Spring Showcase with Kind of Funny. There's some interesting games in there, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, I'm excited to talk AC Shadows today because we've been playing it for a while.
Yeah, there's a lot of games. Obviously, Assassin's Creed, MLB The Show, Immortals 33 Immortals. That means coming out. There's like this whole week is busy with games. Busy. Aaron, how about yourself, man?
Been good. Been playing a lot of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I'm looking forward to getting to like chat all about it with you guys today. And yeah, you know, it's the weather's getting warmer. It's a start to a beautiful week, and you know, it just looks it's nice. It's nice to look outside and see some sunshine.
Yes, anything above zero is patio.
Beautiful. Oh yeah. Oh, we got the shorts, the t-shirts out.
People
are going for our jogs.
People are running on the boardwalk and everything.
I'm going to the beach. You know, we're going swimming later.
I haven't been. Honestly, I've just been playing games so much. Like I have not gone outside in the past. Like,
oh no, I'm hyped as hell when it starts raining out because I'm like, hell yes, I'm ready to just be a hermit and lock myself indoors and not think about the outside.
Awesome. Well, Assassin's Creed, by the time this comes out, it's Tuesday. And what are your thoughts, gentlemen? Because you have a lot more hours out of all of us here. What are your thoughts so far? And I guess also, what's your history with Assassin's Creed as well?
Okay. I think that's a good way to start. I obviously was first introduced seeing the cover and seeing just the concept of Assassin's Creed, this cool dude with this awesome costume, and he's got this hidden blade, and I was super into it. And those are like, listen, I was very young when those first games came out. I don't remember too much about them, and I think I am due for a replay of some of those classics. Because I do remember like bits and pieces of like some of the more iconic moments, what made Assassin's Creed. But definitely like somewhere along the way, right around Black Flag and onwards, I became a little disinterested. Those games really started to shift and warp themselves into something that wasn't familiar to me compared to what it started out as. And I know that's kind of been the biggest complaint for a lot of people in terms of the trajectory of the Assassin's Creed franchise. Now, I want to play Mirage because I know that that's a bit more back to basics Assassin's Creed. But with Shadows, it definitely falls under the line of like, this is like a big open world RPG and not as much an Assassin's Creed game. You know, like there's bits of it where you like feel the Assassin's Creed of it all, and it certainly has some of the things that are like staples to the franchise. But at the core, from what I've experienced, over 40 hours in, and with almost the entire story done, like it's just I haven't sat there and been like, oh, that's where the Assassin's Creed part comes in. You know, like it's a cool game. It's set in Japan, you know, it's got a beautiful open world, especially when you get into the higher levels and you can like start to explore a lot of it. You can really see the variety in terms of the setting. And I think what I love as well is they got the dynamic weather, the day and night cycle. So you're always seeing like a fresh new look at the world, which I think is awesome. But again, there was just not much in there for me to be like, this is the Assassin's Creed part for this, you know? Even like Naue is supposed to be the character that is the assassin, whereas Yasuke is more of like the brute. He is just the samurai that you just knock down doors with and kick ass and take names. But even playing as Naue, it didn't feel so much as an Assassin's Creed thing, more so than just that's kind of what her character does. You know what I mean? Like she assassinates people, I guess, and it so happens to be in Assassin's
Creed. She's definitely more shinobi, which that's what shinobi
more shinobi.
Do.
Yes, absolutely. But I will say, I said this to you guys before we hit record. This game for me, I have a lot of complaints. I have a lot of problems. We're gonna get into it all in this review, but for some reason I can't put it down. I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the gameplay loop. I don't know if it's specifically the combat, but there is something about the game that is keeping me sucked in. I want to know where the story goes. I want to know how it ends. And yeah, I will say, getting those cool pieces of gear with the godly stats that you want that make your character insanely overpowered, especially some of the stuff that you can get for Yasuke and some of the things that you can do with Yasuke.
Yeah.
Crazy. Again, he is a brute. He will destroy everything in his path, but it is nothing to do with an Assassin's Creed. Like Yasuke is the furthest away from anything that you might recognize from an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah.
Let me tell you how much far away is he from an Assassin's Creed game. If you, and Steve, I don't know if you jumped to this part yet, but if you jump on the iconic haystack, jumping
Oh,
on,
yes, I have.
yeah.
There's an achievement on a trophy that unlocks with this, too.
It's not only that, it's even when like you're on the ledge and you reach to the top point,
And he's like wobbling.
He's kind of like, well, he's like, oh
So,
man.
I had this term playing through the game, right? And this honestly is one of the most frustrating parts about the game with me. Yasuke has no traversal. He can't climb.
Nope.
He can't do any of that. He's when it comes to like scaling a wall, the dude is useless. Completely useless.
Even just a simple wall that you can probably
he just
climb.
does this stupid little hop, and he's like, I can't do it. Oh my god, it
He's wearing like
pisses me off.
200-pound armor or something.
So I guess. Okay, but it became this thing for me where whenever I would reach like sync points where you got to get to the top and you got the E, there like it would get to a point with me where I would look at it and I'd be like, is this Yasukeable? Like, can I get up there as Yasuke, or do I have to go into the pause menu and switch to Naoe? They all are. With effort. With a lot of effort.
Not all, because if you find one that's up on a tree, you can climb as Yasuke.
Yes.
But when you're talking about like trying to like climb a tower.
Exactly. There's some.
I'm done
towers.
with a tower because some towers will kind of have like a little slight ramp.
Yes.
And then you have to use that to climb.
And now so that's
yes.
the one that's Yasukeable. There are a lot that are not Yasukeable. And I will say, okay, I know this is a big game. I know it's a like a lengthy story. There's a ton of content. Okay.
The map, my objective map keeps opening up. I'm like, why?
And maybe I am just spoiled by like Spider-Man 2 and a lot of these PlayStation titles. But man, oh man, some of the load times, whether it's me switching between Yasuke and Naoe,
it's a little bit long.
Fast traveling. So like again, I know I'm spoiled because there's so many games out there right now that's just you snap a finger and you from one end of the map to the other. Yeah. But my goodness, and that's why I coined the term Yasukeable when it comes to scaling these sync points, because I would get so annoyed if I would have to switch to Naoe because it takes like another minute to switch to her, and then I got to scale the tower. But I want to do the combat section as Yasuke, so I got to switch back to Yasuke. It's like I've wasted 10 minutes just to get to the top of this thing, which should have taken me like 2 seconds.
What are you playing it on?
In terms like what console?
Like what console? Yeah,
I'm playing it on the PS5.
Okay, because on the PS5 Pro, which is what I've been playing it on, the load times aren't as bad. Like, yes, there are load times for me, but like I'm max like maybe 10 seconds, 10, 15 seconds.
That's how it is.
I actually understand.
That's how it is for me on
having
PC.
to load. Like every time you do, every time a season changes, every time you load into a different area, it's like there's a lot of loading into this, which is like
I finally learned through just like frustration that when you do the sync points, you can skip the 15-minute view.
Okay, how? Because I just figured
I just hold circle. I just hold circle.
Okay,
you can do the same for the season change as well.
Yes.
You can just skip
after
all that.
after a couple of seconds, it'll give
After a
you
couple
the option to
seconds,
skip.
it will load it in, and then like it will like it's probably like 2 or 3
enough.
seconds, and just skip it.
So yeah, there are a lot of little bits like that, and there's so much in this game that that's like augmented game lengtheners, like things that like just purposefully pad the stats, like the fact that when you're on your horse, you cannot sprint or gallop fast in a town.
Yep.
Why can I not? Why can I not? Hello, I want to get to my destination, please. Yeah, I know. They got speed limit signs in the town. They got the cops are gonna pull me over and write me up a ticket.
People, man.
They're coded to dodge out of the way, man.
I'm sorry. I'm just gonna bring up. No, I was gonna bring this one point here where, like, because I feel like there's some parts where they had to do a correction because even when you use the Pathfinder that Steve brought up from last week, some of them go through shrines, but your horse can't go through there.
No.
Correct.
And I'm like, well, why are you sending me through this way? And part of me is like, is it like a respect thing? Like, oh, you're not like no horse is supposed to be in this. This is like a prayer shrine thing, or it's just
it's just narrow. I think it's just narrow pathways sometimes, just narrow like it. Because I find that too. Because like I noticed that the pathway was great because it sort of leads you to where you need to go, especially if because there are times where you have to climb over or like down a hill and it's just like you're just covered in like shrubbery.
There's a lot of shrubbery. Yeah, I know. That's happened so many times.
Go. Yeah, you get so like there's so much like it covers up the entire screen. But yeah, there are moments where I'm like, because the Pathfinder will lead you through like a temple, but it's an enemy temple, and like you have to like you basically have to like try to sprint past it. But if you're in a town, you can't because you can't gallop. So you basically have to like either like stop to be able to take out the enemies, or just try to like keep going. Like it's not the most intuitive guide that it sort of like takes you on, but it helps it like, at least get you where you need to go to a certain degree. But I agree
sometimes I notice though that like it is very like a GPS where it's like you got to follow the road. Follow the road. You know, even if it means we're gonna take you 600 meters away from your objective, you're following the frickin' the road. You know.
Here's the thing that I do miss that I think would have made this even better, and they took this away because it used to be in Assassin's Creed games. And I believe it probably last time I saw it was Odyssey. Might have been in Valhalla, can't say 100%. But when you do turn on Pathfinder, it used to be that if you hold X, it will the horse will auto go on the path for you.
And you should have a cinematic scenes too if you wanted to with that as well.
Sort of. That was Red Dead. Red Dead will allow you to Red Dead 2 kind of like allowed you to do that where it's like cinematic where you just kind of like just let it go and it'll follow the path for you.
Valhalla had that. You press a button.
Okay, it did have that.
It had like circle like
so is this in the settings or something by any chance?
No, I don't know.
That doesn't exist in this game. Like there's no like auto guide like through the path. Which I'm like, I was the same way too. It's like, that would have fixed a lot of my specific accessibility problems because I'm very nitpicky with the accessibility in this. It's like it's good, but there's one tiny little thing that would just made it so like less frustrating in certain areas. But I'll talk about kind of like what you were talking about earlier, Eric, because in regards to my thoughts of AC Shadows, you're absolutely right. This is a great Japanese RPG like game. Yeah. The Assassin's Creed aspect of this, I'm kind of missing I'm kind of missing like why like it just seems like we're trying to shoehorn in the Assassin's Creed world into this story, and I felt that way a bit with Valhalla. I felt this way a little bit with Odyssey. Mirage was definitely returned back to form. And then Origins was kind of so new that it would just it was kind of that cross in between, because that's my history with it. Like my first like full Assassin's Creed game that I played from beginning to end was Origins and going forward. Okay. So, but I was like, if they took the Assassin's Creed aspect of this, I wouldn't miss it. I feel like that other than the Hidden Blade, which I'm like, okay, but as Shinobi, you're able to assassinate. So what's the difference now that you just got a Hidden Blade now? So like I have not like the only thing that ties to the Assassin's Creed franchise I've seen is the thing at the beginning where you get the Hidden Blade, and then a little bit later on when you do like connect with like, because we'll talk about this when we talk about like when you get access to Yasuke. Like with that sort of the Hidden Blade is what like the first time it's
significance
heard,
of it.
The significance of it. That's like, okay, that's it. Other than that, I don't know if there's anything else that happens later in the game. Don't spoil it for me, but I'm like, I don't understand.
Even at the beginning, the Animus talk, that's also part of the whole.
Sure, but that's been the same of like the modern, like I kind of call it the modern versions of AC, basically from Origins going forward. Like when they introduced the RPG elements to Assassin's Creed, like so from Origins going forward, that a lot of the Animus stuff had been kind of like sort of put into the background. Like there was never like we're never like going like as Desmond into like the Animus sort of like we're not switching from modern to history,
right?
That we've seen in previous AC games. Like even though I know play them, I know enough of the lore that's
what happens.
Yeah, and then like I wanted a game set in Japan, an AC game set in Japan, that I wanted to like learn more about. Okay, we've seen sort of the European version of the Creed or the Brotherhood and of the Templars, but like I wanted like, okay, what like that era in say Japan, like what is like how has the Brotherhood of the Templars kind of like have they infiltrated Japan? But it just seems as if we're kind of in that beginning a stage before the Brotherhood sort of started. Like that it just feels out, like it feels off. Like, but basically, yeah, when it comes down to, you said it right, Aaron. It's like this is a great Japanese RPG game, but Assassin's Creed, I'm like, I could take it or leave it. But I will say,
I'm just curious, and this is just like me. So I'm more curious about like what will make it more of Assassin's Creed for you guys.
I want to get into like what
the
what
story,
is
maybe?
what is
Or-
the story of these characters, and why are we playing as these characters specifically?
Exactly.
Why in the Animus are we sent back to experience these characters, Naoe and Yasuke's story? You know what I mean? Like, and what is their significance to the overarching kind of like the franchise of Assassin's Creed? Because like you said, Steve Saylor, the Hidden Blade is the Hidden Blade. Sure, we all know the Hidden Blade; it's iconic to the franchise. But like, she also, how many times when you're doing an assassination as Naoe, does she even use it? You know, sometimes she's going to use the sword. Sometimes if you have the Tonto, the little sword, like she'll use that. Whatever item you might like, you can do assassinations with the kunais like that.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of different things.
The only thing that ties into it is I can hear the blade come out when you get to
Sometimes,
it. Like you can assassinate somebody.
Yeah,
but that's all.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
It just doesn't feel as prominent and in your face that this is an Assassin's Creed game. And I think that's what's frustrating for me, because there are things that I like about it and there are things that I do enjoy about it, but I also have to remind myself that it's called Assassin's Creed Shadows, and there are going to be people coming into this who are like, hell yeah, I love Assassin's Creed, and they're going to play it and be like, what's the Assassin's Creed part?
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what? This is a review in progress. We haven't beaten the game, so maybe there's going to be something in that third act where it ties it all together and it blows our minds. And
the box.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
But like, so maybe there's going to be something.
It may sound like a spoiler, but it's really not. Like,
Very early. So there's probably, I mean, I imagine there's going to be something that ties it all together. But even still, I'm almost like, I'm 40 plus hours in. There should be something along the way that's reminding you. There should be like little beats in the story that are constantly keeping you engaged to the fact that this has something to do with the franchise, you know, and it's very frustrating to me that it doesn't do that nearly as often as I think it should. But I will say, I want to get into some positives or some things that I really do like about the game. I think the combat is like excellent. I think Yasuke is brutal. The brute strength and the violence you can enact with this guy, it is crazy. It is so satisfying. Some of those combo enders, some of the different weapon types, the finishers. My goodness, I couldn't get enough. And honestly, same could apply for Naoe. There is a lot that is addicting, sticking into the shadows and just tossing that one kunai, getting three guys, boom, boom, boom. Or when you pull up on an enemy, you hit them with the katana and she like slices their throat. There are some epic stuff. Animations are amazing. It really is really cool. And I do think that's a large part of the reason why I keep coming back. The combat is very engaging, very addicting. When you go through those skill trees and you start to unlock new abilities and new ways to like engage yourself into the combat and new ways to kind of, you know, dance around the enemies if you have a bunch of them in front of you. I think all that stuff is great. I think it's truly, truly fantastic. Super easy to follow too. The skill trees are not complicated. There are a lot of them because a lot of them apply to different weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
But I
do
didn't
have a
find
slight
myself...
negative with the skill tree.
Oh, really?
And that's like I mean the skill tree is great for unlocking stuff and everything, but for you to unlock the next tier, is that you have to go
it's
to
pretty
like
grindy.
It's
You have
pretty
to do
grindy.
the knowledge
You
points.
gotta go now knowledge
grindy.
points.
Yeah.
Where like before it was just leveling up and like, okay, I picked this and I picked that.
So okay,
This
so
one
that's
is like,
something
then
that
you
I
go
don't
to
know.
that and then,
Yeah.
it was
that's
very
something
different.
that I didn't know as somebody who is not hasn't been playing a lot of the mainline Assassin's Creed games. But I do agree with you. If in the past games it was that you just have to level up and get to a certain
that's
level
what it was.
to unlock the next tier, I would have much preferred that. Especially considering, like you said, Steve, there are some knowledge points that you can only do as Yasuke, or some that you can only do as Naoe.
Yeah.
So like it could be very annoying to kind of be switching back and forth.
Mhm.
And yeah, like outside of that, like I said, open world, like magnificent. I have spent so much time in photo mode. Although the photo mode's a little bare bones. I kind of wish I
It
had
is a little bit.
more.
It is very
It
bare
is,
bones.
Yeah, I wish there was more that I could do with it. But I still have spent so much time in photo mode. Just there are a lot of moments where you just take in the beauty of the new location that you just discovered, or like when you fast travel, or when you get to the top of a sync point and you get to kind of do that pan across the open world. So you really, for as many times I want to skip it, I also want to like take it all in.
Oh,
like,
totally. Because it's
especially
like
when the seasons change and it's like snowy, it's like, oh, like this is beautiful. This is beautiful.
This is the jump off of that. Like this is probably the most gorgeous Assassin's Creed game to date. It is
hands down most beautiful Assassin's Creed game.
It's the well, I know we're going to talk probably at some point the kind of comparisons between like this and Ghost of Tsushima, but the first sort of like comparison I'll say was that I think this pretty much rivals how gorgeous that like Tsushima looks, and but I think it actually in a way kind of elevates it, like the Tsushima.
Wow,
I think that here's the thing. Ghost of Tsushima looks like both games are gorgeous. I don't one bet like will run really a little bit better than the other, but I think that the thing that makes Shadows different than Tsushima is the changing of the seasons, and how that impacts how you play the game. Like it's like, yes, there are like in Tsushima there's like the guiding wind that kind of like tells you where to go, and yes, there are different sort of like areas of Tsushima where all of a sudden it's like it's autumn and you see like all the like kind of falling leaves, and you see the spring with a little bit of the cherry blossoms, that kind of thing. But in this, like the rain has an effect on missions, on side quests. The snow has an effect, like the wind has, like it just because like the environment is impacting the side quests, and because of that like dynamic environments, and look how gorgeous it is every single time you change a season. I think that's that I think edges out like the Ghost of Tsushima as far as like just the environments itself.
I
like
think
that,
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Both 10 out of 10, but I think it's just like that 10.1 goes to like goes to Shadows.
I'm with you. I think the one thing I will say that separates this from something like Ghost of Tsushima is the sense of scale. Like you definitely I don't know if there's a level of verticality in Ghost of Tsushima the way that you can match in this game. Like reaching those sync points and reaching these high cliffs and getting to like essentially see who knows how far and witness the beauty of it, right?
Oh yeah, those like I can't remember what they call, but those like the renders of like just how far you see the like the like and
like
then
the
because
pagodas and everything, it's magnificent.
Because you can synchronize, like when you look around the area and you can sort of see like the different waypoints if you turn off guided exploration, like or where basically you can see a bunch of waypoints.
Yeah.
When you kind of look at when you're at the top of like a sync point and you see all the different question marks and sort of like in cities and stuff, and you can see them in the background. It's not just like, oh, there's a fog of like of whatever. Like I can see how like 1,000 meters away is Kyoto. Like it just. I'm like, and that's a large city and it's fully rendered. I don't know how it looks on other consoles, but on PS5 Pro, my God, like I could see for miles.
Yeah.
Like,
and not only that, after like playing so many Assassin's Creed games, this one is not only the most beautiful Assassin's Creed game, but it also runs very well on top of that.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys have had any problems. Yeah,
no bugs. Zero bugs.
I probably had like one, like actually no, two, where like there was one character you meet and the game was just like hanging for a little bit, but eventually caught up. I don't know if it's a PC thing or anything like that, and I just had like one random crash, which is like
I've had
thing.
a couple of bugs. Like some of them were funny. Like one of them, I like decapitated a guy, and then he just got back up with no head.
Wow.
Like little tiny bugs like that. And then there was like one mission I was doing where it was soft locked, and I had to. Well, but I will. Is there like a dedicated reload last checkpoint thing you can hit? By the way, I have not found it. If there
I mean,
is.
you could go into the settings, obviously, and just like load the last like autosave,
So I know that you
but
can do
not
that,
like you
but
can't go back like a checkpoint, like
So
unless
I
you die.
kind of wish that they would do that, because there was like a soft lock moment where I was supposed, like, I completed an area, or I took down a bunch of enemies in an area and it said, go talk to this guy. And he was just standing there kind of like still ready to fight. So I couldn't speak to him.
Oh,
And because I wasn't sure how far back that load point was going to take me, what I ended up doing was I left the area, fast traveled to the sync point that was in that area, and then I could talk to him. It essentially, I reloaded the instance the hard way.
gotcha.
So I would like for there to be like a reload to last checkpoint option added into the game. I feel like that's in a lot
You
of
can do
games.
that when you die, but that's the only way to do a reload last checkpoint.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or just leave the area, and then once things cool down, go back.
You go back. Yeah, I know. So there's a lot of like kind of dancing around.
But that's been like
a
a Assassin's Creed staple, to be honest.
really.
Yeah, it's always been like that.
That's not great.
When the heat's on, you're just like, let me leave, and then it's come right back.
Yeah. Okay.
And
fair,
people
fair.
are like, oh, who are you? Were we just going? Like, just forget about you.
I will.
Yeah.
I will say one of the things I like positives I have with the game was that once like and we'll get into I know we'll get into like when you unlock Yasuke, but I think once you can play as Yasuke or Naoe, a lot of the side quests it plays differently depending on which character you choose. Like we talked about kind of already, where it's like what was it your phrase, Yasukeable, like Yasukeable?
Yasukeable, yeah.
Yasukeable, yeah. So because there are definitely I'll just say like there's castles in the game where basically like it's kind of almost like a spawn point for enemies and stuff like that, and you can kind of like take them out to be able to get all the treasure, or there's certain what's it, Daios or whatever they're called, like basically like specific
Samurai Daishos. Yeah.
Samurai Daishos, yeah. There are specific enemies that you have to take out to be able to kind of to fully unlock the area and to get like XP and stuff. I found as Naoe, being able to sneak around those castles is really cool, and you can be able to assassinate a few folks, and they're really cool. Like I love being able, like it's the full Assassin's Creed sort of type gameplay where you're just in the shadows, you're in the bushes, and you whistle, and the guy comes over to you, you assassinate them, drag them into the bush or what have you, and like all that stuff is there.
Yeah.
But then when you switch over to Yasuke, you can literally just like charge right into that castle and just rampage across the entire castle, taking out
to a certain extent, because sometimes you got to stop the guys who are going to climb the bell and ring the bell to get you wanted.
Yeah, there are that, so that there's no other additional enemies.
Yeah.
So I learned that the hard way. So I basically every time I go to the castle, I just look for that bell first, take that out, and then I go and
then you're good to go.
Yeah, good to go. But I like that variety of gameplay. Like makes because I know we talked about this, Marcel, before we started, but the repetitiveness of a lot of the side quests, it kind of changes it up a little bit, depending on which character you choose. So if you find that finding the sig points or just taking out a castle is just too much or takes too long as Naoe, you could switch over to Yasuke, completely different type of gameplay, and I appreciated that because so I like that there's different variety of activities to build and side quests to be able to do from each. That it kind of changes the regular formula of AC games where you have a lot of the same type of side missions throughout the entire map, which is great. The thing is, though,
I feel like you're going to say the same thing I'm going to say. I want to hear what you have to say, though.
Why do I gotta wait 12 hours before I can be able to do that?
Okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, yes. Yes.
Why?
There is a lot of video games.
12 hours and play as Naoe before I can even get the option to be able to to switch over as Nazi. Now, there is a whole story reason as to kind of why, sort of, but it takes a freaking long time.
I forgot he was in the game. I was like, this guy's in this game.
I feel like hour 5, I was just like, when do we get to go as Yasuke again? Like, where's that?
So there's there is a story reason, like you said, as to why it takes that long for us to get there.
Yeah.
There just should have been a section in between where we played as him. Like just like there's more than enough narrative reason to have brought him in within those 12 hours, you know, to just at least remind the person playing the game that he's the other playable character. You know? He's the other guy on the cover of the game. But you're right. Like once you get to him, it is just like play who you want to play, essentially. Like go out into the open world and enjoy the game as either of the characters. But yeah, there is a lot of video game, maybe even for some people, almost too much to the point that it might turn them off before you can get to Yasuke's character. And it was surprising for me as well. Because like part of it for a lot of players will be you've put in X amount of hours before you got to Yasuke. You're starting to get really good gear. You're starting to level up Naoe. You're starting to get attached to her gameplay and the way that she plays. You're starting to, like, that's the groove that you're in now for this game, because that is more than enough time to essentially, like, get locked in, essentially, into a video game.
Yeah, you learn all the systems, all the tutorials, aspects of the game. Yeah,
how you're supposed to play her, right? And then they introduce this other playable character, and you're like, well, but all his armor and gear, it's uncommon level, you know.
But also
I got legendary gear for Naoe. Like, why do I want this stuff?
Also, as well, you get used to specific types of gameplay. The fact that you can be able to go into eagle vision, and also you have like your grapple hook.
Not having that. I'm like,
and when you come when you're playing as Yasuke, you have no grapple hook. You have no, like, you can't go into eagle vision.
Can't climb shit.
You can't find anything. Like, it's almost as if, like, it's cool you get to play as Naoe, and then it's like, oh yeah, cool, she's one of the characters to be able to play. I'm like, I like it. She's the closest we have within the game that is like to an assassin within an Assassin's Creed game. So I understand why we start off as basically her. But like then when you take away some of those mechanics with Yasuke, I was just like, well, I've already been used to because when I went to my first castle, I was like, awesome. You know what? Now I've held off on doing it for so long. I've unlocked that sync point with Naoe because I couldn't take out the enemies below. I'm just gonna wait until I can be able to go as Yasuke, and then I become Yasuke. I jump to that sync point, and now he has to slow ass his way down the tower, and I'm like, and I can't climb anything. I can barely climb anything. And he, as you said, like basically when you try to jump into the haystack with his leap of faith, that don't work.
Or like you jump into the haystack and you do your leap of faith as Yasuke, and he's got to take 45 minutes to get up and talk about how his back hurts or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I play the game, please? Like,
he destroys the haystack where it's gone.
Yeah, and it just makes me think. I'm like, well, you now you're taking away some of the the gameplay mechanics that I've gotten used to, which I'm like, yeah, you know what, it's fine. It takes you a minute to kind of reorient yourself, and it changes up the gameplay, and so it adds that little extra. Oh, okay, now we're trying doing something else, and then you can find sort of your own play style within that. From an accessibility standpoint, though, I'm like, when you take away some of those features, I'm like, how in the heck am I supposed to be able to do this? Like the eagle vision is the closest I get to high contrast mode in this game, and I can't do it as Yasuke. I'm like, but how am I supposed to know where the enemies are, or like how am I supposed to know like where the chests are? Because that's the only way I've been able to fight it, especially when you're in a castle. It's pouring rain. It's pitch black outside. All the lit candles barely like illuminate anything in the room that you're in. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do? It'd be a little frustrating with that sense, but it's like, again, I don't know if we're just jump back into
and I don't want to. This is not a spoiler because it's something that doesn't happen. But if you were hoping that they were going to introduce Yasuke and there was maybe going to be this like story element of Naoe needs to teach him the way of being like an assassin, that ain't happening. He's got a very specific play style, and it is fun. But I would have really liked if they were like, we're going to give him at some point in the story a hidden blade, or Naoe's going to teach him like, here's how we can do this stealthily, so that at least like, you just have that option, you know? Maybe there's a cutscene of him doing a bit of cardio and some pull-ups, you know, so that he can climb a freaking tower. Give him the grappling hook at some point in the game.
Listen, he's not a hard It's okay.
like
It's
I
done a lot.
understand. Yeah, seriously, I understand that part of the gameplay reason why they have tools for specific characters is because they don't want it to be, I'm just gonna play as Yasuke the entire time. I don't want to play as Naoe. They don't want it to be, I'm just gonna play as Naoe the entire time. I don't want to play as Yasuke.
They balance each other.
Yeah, there needs to be like the
yes.
need to play as one character or another. But I still feel like there's a couple of littleness, like very like there's items that are a necessity for the game to function that should have been provided to both of the characters.
Can I suggest one?
Tell me.
The grapple hook.
The grapple hook
is the
1,000,000,000%. 1,000.
Damn.
Yeah. I needed that.
One thing I do wish that the game also added, like, say if you fail the mission with with Naoe, you're like, man, there's just a wave of enemies. I wish I could just switch to. You can't switch Yasuke.
Nope.
No, you have to continue
you
with
have
it.
to like, hey, figure this out now type of scenario.
Very true.
To kind of add that again, that go back to the comparison of if you played Ghost of Tsushima, as far as like the gameplay styles, playing as Naoe is very much like when you go into your ghost abilities.
Exactly.
Like when Jin is doing his ghost stealth abilities, 100%. A lot of what's in Tsushima, you're doing the similar things in this. However, when you're playing as Yasuke, you're basically playing like if Jin Sakai is the Bruce Banner to Yasuke's Hulk. Like,
It's the perfect way to describe it. Perfect way to describe it. So seriously, he is a brute force. And again, there is a lot you can do with Yasuke where I have logged most of my hours as Yasuke because of it. I have even just painstakingly gone to those Yasukeable towers. I have been stubborn to not switch to Naoe because I want to do the castle as Yasuke because the combat with that character is so much fun.
Oh, I just cleared my first castle with with him last night, and it was exactly how I wanted it to be because there was certain castles I sort of put aside. I'm like, okay, once I get Yasuke, I'll take out all the enemies that I need to, but. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna finally do this Kanto castle. I keep going back to it. I want to be able to clear it. And then it was like, and then going through and just taking I didn't care about stealth. I was just like, where the frick is my my enemies? I'm
show yourself.
Show yourself exactly. It was exactly kind of how I wanted it to be. And just I'm looking around. I'm like, okay. And then I switched over as Naoe just to get the sync point. And I'm like, okay, perfect, done.
Right. But the only problem I have sometimes in those cases is when you go into those castles, it can be. Some of them are very big and cover a lot of land.
Yes.
And you need to find 4 samurais to kill to get the chest. And sometimes I feel like I'm doing 15 laps around the thing and I can't find
it makes me kind of wonder, it's like, do they spawn in or are they there and you just haven't found them yet?
Yeah. Are there certain points they spawn at, or is it I don't know. Hope I come across them.
Do you have when you hold the button down, it shows you that's the only way I've been able to get around
that look button.
I don't know.
I don't know.
There's one other big complaint I have with the game that I wanted to go over, and I'll be honest, it is ripped me out of the game in a lot of instances, and it was so bad that I had to switch the language of the game for it to work better for me. And I hate to harp on something like this because it it just makes me feel bad, but the voice acting,
it's not the best.
It's pretty rough. I'll say whoever's the voice actor for Yasuke.
I was about to say
Yasuke is fun.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's Game Awards nomination worthy or anything, but it works, right? But the voice actress for Naoe really doesn't work for me.
It makes me. It's very. It's and this is the thing that I have with because I don't watch anime. I've watched a few things here and there, but it's I'm not an active viewer of it. The listening to the dialogue in this game, other than Yasuke, is very much anime English acting. It makes me kind of think that this whole game was dubbed in Japanese first, and then they added the English language as an additional language for this. It wasn't English first and then Japanese, which I think is what I think Ghost of Tsushima was more like.
Yes.
But with this one, it feels like the better option is to like again. Those who actually not natively speak or fluently speak Japanese, love to hear your thoughts on the Japanese counterparts for them. But the English acting in this is very much like dubbed anime to me.
No, it was borderlining on like, oh, it's the English dub from Squid Game guys doing this. Like, this is rough. Like, this is it. No, seriously, there were a lot of moments where she'll just like say the line, like she's just reading it off the page and not performing it. And I don't know if that's necessarily like the actor's fault or the director's fault, or maybe it's just a combination of both. But there were so many moments where I was just like, ugh, like, can we deliver this with some conviction? Like, can you give me like your character's gone through some stuff. Can you give me that in this performance? Because I'm not feeling it right now. Like, when it's random NPC number 43 or when it's the villager that you just walk by, I don't care if they don't sound great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many different characters in a 80-hour, whoever knows how long RPG. Some of the performances aren't going to be great. One of their two main protagonists need to be good. Like, it needs to be serviceable. But it was genuinely ripping me out of the story, and I feel bad. I don't want to harp too much on the person who did the voice for Naue, because I imagine it's a lot of work and a lot of effort for as big of a game as this, with as much dialogue as you have to put into this, right? Sure. It's just that I don't know. It wasn't hitting for me, and I had to switch it.
Even
to the
some of like the
dub.
big bosses, I'm like, oh, you don't sound like you're not scary at all.
It just seemed as if there was a lot of like. There wasn't a lot of like emotional range with that was given, and it makes me kind of wonder is like, again, I'm not sort of implying anything or anything against the actress at all, but it sounds as if that maybe English is this actress's second language. Like, it kind of felt that way, and it didn't bother me as much as I think it did with you guys, because to me I was like, okay, you know what, it's not the greatest acting that I've heard, but it's like it's okay. Like I'm fine with it. But once you hear Yasuke's kind of voice, I was like, oh yeah, okay, this is different. And because I could hear the emotion in his voice, especially that one. Like, and I won't spoil it, but there is a kind of a sequence of story that happens when you do. When Yasuke comes back in, basically, and it's that when you do get to unlock Yasuke as a character to play, that's that section. That's where I was like, oh, there's a big difference here in terms of performance, and I definitely was leaning more towards Yasuke in that sense for sure.
You can definitely feel the stakes of the story in his performance more than you can from Naue. It's kind of no spoilers, but Jinjiro, little kid, the little kid is good. He was good as well. I agree. Yeah. But yeah, once I switch it to the Japanese dub, I will say like they're firing on all cylinders, man.
Okay, fair enough.
It's awesome to hear this game spoken in Japanese. And then another issue, but this is more of like a nitpick, if I will say, considering again the game's size and how much content that there is. Some of these cutscenes and some of like those dialogue moments where it's one character speaking to another, it feels a little stiff. It feels almost like PS3 era or Xbox 360 era type game, where you got like heads moving like on a swivel instead of like these natural movements. But again, that's less of a complaint for the game overall, and it's more so just for the fact that the game is just that big, right? They're not going to have detailed mo-capped cutscenes throughout all of the entirety of the campaign and all of the side quests and everything, right? Like, you're just not going to get that.
It's like you're getting the idle animations because that's the easiest to be able to load in that moment without having to like do like full motion capture for every cutscene.
Exactly. The biggest complaint that I can give this game, and it's not this game's fault, it really isn't. It's just that Ghost of Tsushima is a better version of it.
I was about to. Okay, so I was going to ask if we want to jump into that.
I don't want to be too mean.
I also want to bring some other points as well, because I know with the whole weather and system and everything, it really like adds on to the game where like you're moving slower as well. Where
when
like,
you're like
In
trudging
the
through the
snow,
snow,
trudging
yeah,
through
in
the
the
snow
rain
and
and the
everything.
mud.
The
Yep.
rain, like the rain effects, like and not only that, just like different levels of rainfall as well. There'd be
Yes.
like a light fall, like heavy downpour, lightning, and like thunder, like where enemies don't even hear you. They're like, I just hear rain, and then they
Yup.
get stabbed in the head.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ran into this, Caboose. I don't think you're there yet, Steve. But there's even some bosses as well. You don't have to take them on. Not to say that take them on head on, but it will help out if you kind of hide in a way if you're Nawe, because one of them would be like. So there's this one. I don't know. The best way to say it is that there's a dog. The enemy with a dog. I don't know if you remember that, Caboose.
I
I
haven't
don't
got
know if
that
I've
point.
come across this yet.
Okay, because like there's one enemy, he just consistently yelling, why is there all that explosion and why is that damn dog barking? That's all he keeps saying. And then eventually you might meet this dog, and then you'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna take your food, dog, and you hide in the box. And then the dog starts barking. And next to the enemy's like, why are you barking? And he just pop out the box, you just stab him right in the head. Like that was a full-on boss mode right there.
That was the entire
Oh.
boss fight.
Like I mean, it took like a big chunk of his health away, so like kind of helps you out well. So there's also unique like elements to like you don't have to go on attacking them out if you're now way like you don't have to do like the whole like okay, let me just keep on parrying and like slice and parrying.
There's
different ways you could tackle different enemies if you wanted to, where you could use like the whole sneaking of like let me hide in the box here, or let me mess with this, let me whistle this guy over and everything. And it's really neat what they've done here, because they added some stuff that I'm like, oh, they never did this before. Like the fact that I interact with something in the environment, someone came to check it out. Like there was a lady, I feel bad for these people because like if you use the Eagle version, they're highlighted orange. I mean, they're just living
villager.
And if you hover over them, if you look at them, like they're literally level one characters.
Yeah, exactly. And then like sometimes like if someone's just around, I'm like, oh my god, you spooked me, and then sorry, I accidentally stabbed you. It's too late. You're dead now.
Yeah, I felt so
scenario.
There was one point I was as Yasuke, and I was like, because and I would see the like this one like it was basically like a female like I guess like I don't know, attendants at this temple or this castle. They're like level 1, and then they get spooked, and then they run off into the like to kind of alert everyone else. And then I was like, yeah, it's fine. I'm Yasuke. I could take them all out. It's fine. Like let them come. Like it's great. But then there was at one point I accidentally stabbed her, and she's dead. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, Yasuke has no like hold ability. He's just like is that assassinate or brutal assassinate? That's the only
oh god, the brutal assassinate.
That's all he has. But like, so one of the things I wanted to test out was with one of the villagers, because they're like, oh my god, I see someone. They will like, so I was like, let me just hide here and like see if they will what they will do, and they will actually run to grab someone, but like, come follow me. Like you actually hear them like, come follow me. I saw them right over here, and they will go specifically where they saw you. Where like as it's actually like before they'd be like, oh, I think I saw someone. Like no, they will actually go alert, grab someone, and like one of like the main bosses like, tell me where you like the full dialogue. Like tell me where you saw them right now, and then like they'll follow them and everything.
You
like,
know what else is really cool?
Here.
What else is really cool for the stealth nuts, right? For the people who are like really into stealth games, there is an expert mode to stealth in this game.
Yes.
Which makes it so that enemies now like look up. Like they'll be able to spot you if you're just sitting on a rooftop waiting for someone to walk below you. It is no longer that, oh, they're on a roof, where must have been the wind, you know? Like, which I'm bad at stealth games.
Yeah.
I don't keep that section or the expert mode on. I keep it just on normal because I just want to get through it.
I went with forgiving. That was my difficulty the entire time. Was pretty much forgiving.
Fair,
although I did try expert once just to be like what it's like, and I noticed that I'm like,
it's
once
intense.
they looked up and saw me, I'm like, fuck this. I went back.
But I'll also note, if you are spotted and then you make your way up onto a rooftop, you don't just immediately go invisible. And now that is the spot that they recognize where you went to hide.
Yes.
They will be looking. So if you start to show yourself, or if you stand up, you'll see the little bar over an enemy's head start to spot you. I think little things like that really add quite a bit to the stealth to make it so that you got to think about your choices and genuinely stick to the shadows.
And that's the thing that I was
nice.
saying.
Okay.
That I think is brand new. Correct me if I'm wrong, Marcel, but I think this is brand new to the Assassin's Creed franchise in that like legitimately you can hide in the shadows. So it's no longer just only in bushes or tall grass. If you're in a shadow area, you will see that little like look icon that it's complete. Like they can't see you unless they come near you. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
That's why you can take out candles.
Yes, I was about to say.
I
was about to say you got to use that to your advantage sometimes because there's a lot of lit candles or lit like whatever it might be. There's things that are lit up on fire. You got to like take out
like
the flame,
lanterns and stuff like that.
Lanterns and whatever it might be around in a stealth section. And when you take out the flame or you extinguish it, it creates more shadow in the area and it gives you more stealth in that specific section. Things like that, again, really add quite a bit to the name of the game, which I thought was cool for them to implement something like that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't want to wrap up everything, but essentially what I'm trying to say is I don't hate this game. I don't think it's bad.
You know, it does a lot of good things.
And there are a lot of things that it gets right. And there are quite a few story moments where I was like, they're nailing it right now. They are nailing it.
Yeah, I had my moment. I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
that was my one. Yeah, the one I just had was my moment.
There's a couple of bits in the story where I was like, "Oh hell yes, they're doing all the right things for me right now." But it's just as a whole, from what I have played, I know it just sounds mean to compare this because it's kind of an unfair comparison, but
let's compare it.
I just feel like Ghost of Tsushima does everything that this game wanted to do better.
I think
it handles the lore of the samurai better. It approaches it better. I'm not saying that Assassin's Creed doesn't approach it well. I'm just saying that Ghost of Tsushima really leans into it. Whereas Assassin's Creed it's like they're just teetering on like what all the samurai values are and what it means to be a samurai, what it means to be a shinobi, a ronin, all that stuff, right? Like Assassin's Creed doesn't go all in on its setting.
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima, I feel, does. In terms of open world, in terms of its look, I agree with some of the things that you're saying, Steve. I still think that when I'm going through, I spend an hour free roaming around in Ghost of Tsushima, I'm still awe-inspired by the visuals.
Yep.
Whereas in Assassin's Creed, there are a lot of sections that are samey. There are a lot of sections that look
I'll give it that, sure.
like copy and paste, Control-C, Control-V. The combat, the stealth, and the samurai aspects of Ghost work way better for me than the stealth and the samurai aspects of Assassin's Creed does. There's so much in Ghost that I feel they were firing on all cylinders. And it feels like Assassin's Creed was trying to emulate some of that success while still being true to an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah.
And it made it so that they didn't excel in one way or the other.
I think I agree with you, and I can't remember where I've said this before, whether it was on this show or on my own content, but I think that the Ghost is the reason. And it's not to say that Shadows is a bad game. There is there's a lot of great aspects of it, and I would say it's probably like in between good to great. It's not masterpiece. It's not like, but and even by saying that Ghost of Tsushima is better than Shadows does not negate the Shadows altogether as far as like it being a good game. What I liked what Tsushima did that I had wished that Shadows would have done. It was in regards to the story. When you're in Tsushima, you really like there is that balance of you grew up as a samurai. You like that is you were trained as, and the honor code of the samurai is something that is just you're born into, you grown in like up with it. You're trained in that as a samurai. And then you're introduced to the stealth aspect, being the ghost within Tsushima. And you struggle, like in the story, the minor spoilers, but you struggle with that.
Yeah.
There even within the gameplay, it kind of like, yes, you can go with stealth and you can go fully as stealth, but then there are characters that will talk to you that you're like, you're abandoning the samurai way. This is not the way of like that you were
They will
taught,
shun
that
you
you were
for it. They
trained.
will guilt you for it.
They will make you feel guilty about it. Exactly. Like they, but it's, you kind of becoming the ghost. It's like it's a new Japan. It's a new Tsushima. Like, we need like we in order like we can't just play by the same old rules anymore. Like that aspect is what I think would have been an amazing and absolutely awe-inspiring story if it was set in the Assassin's Creed universe.
Yep.
The idea of the struggle between samurai warrior and stealth shinobi, like that to me would have blown my mind if this was introduced in a Assassin's Creed game where we've known for like over 15 years now how an Assassin's Creed game is played. We've like the stealth has been a part of that franchise since the very beginning. Yeah. And if we would have had that sort of conflict story-wise of figuring out like, do I want to play as a stealth character or do I want to play as a samurai warrior, and giving you that choice would have made this like probably one of the top, if not top, Assassin's Creed game of all time. Yep. However, that being said, by them separating the two into two different characters, you don't feel like that you're kind of sacrificing that. If you want stealth, you can play as Naoe the entire time and you're fine. If you want the samurai warrior, if once you get Yasuke, you could play him the entire time, and that's totally up to you. But it didn't feel like that there was any like consequence, unless it gets that way a little bit later on. I don't know in the story wise. It doesn't feel like that there's that consequence of being a shinobi or a samurai within this world. No, and that's why I feel like that Tsushima is a much better game.
Listen, Ubisoft, they knew, I'm sure everyone internally, especially at the top, knew that from the very start when they announced they're going to do like a Japan set Assassin's Creed game, that everyone and their mother was going to compare it to Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
No matter what. It doesn't matter if it played completely different. It doesn't matter if they went in a completely different direction, right? They were going to get the comparisons no matter what. So it's like, just own it. Just own it. Lean into it. Like you said, Steve, make it so that Yasuke has to learn the way of the assassin, but he struggles with that because he's a samurai and he respects the samurai code. He just knows there's something to do with that hidden blade. He's got to learn about it. And so because of that, because of his curiosity, because of the stakes of the story and his involvement with Naoe and what's happening surrounding them, he has to give up some of his samurai values. You know, like that's why I'm trying to say they tried little bits and pieces to copy Ghost of Tsushima. They tried little bits and pieces to be an Assassin's Creed game. They didn't commit 100% one way or the other. And so the Ghost of Tsushima aspects of the game aren't as good. The Assassin's Creed of it all isn't as good. It just doesn't hit to the finish line on either end of the table. And I think that that's what frustrated me the most about playing the game. If it was called anything else, if it wasn't titled Assassin's Creed, I'd have been like, this is a pretty cool action RPG game set in Japan. Like, I think that's pretty fun. But you title it what it is, you make it a part of the franchise that it's part of. It creates an expectation, and I don't think that they met that expectation for me personally.
Yeah, no, I agreed. And that's the thing. It's like, I think you said it before, Eric, before we start recording. I think it's like, this is a game I definitely cannot put down, but it's one of those, it's like, this is definitely more like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's not a bad game. This is like, I hate, like, whenever people see 7 out of 10s, they think, oh, this game's going to suck. Exactly. It's going to be the absolute worst. It's like, no, a 1 out of 10 or a 2 out of 10 is a terrible game. Yeah. This is still like I said, going in like in between that game, good and great.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't play the 40 plus hours simply just because we're going to review it. Like, obviously I know I got to play as much as I can because we're reviewing it, but I'm staying up till like 2-3 a.m. wanting to get that last castle done. Wanted to, like, there's all these different wheels that pop up of different like enemy types that you got to go after or whatever. Like, I'm staying up trying to find them around the map. But that's not because of the review, but it's because I'm kind of addicted to the gameplay loop, right? They got me. They got me in certain elements of the game. And yeah, it's a 7 out of 10 for me as well, I think. But I don't think it's like the type of 7 out of 10 that, like you said, the internet thinks of, where they're like, ooh, 7 out of 10, it's really that bad. I think it's like, if this game was on, let's say, 20% off, like a sale, like, it's worth your money. it's worth your money. You're gonna be able to enjoy it. And I do think even if you were to buy it full price, I think you'd be hard pressed to walk away thinking like, I hated playing that. Like, I don't think anyone is going to have that experience here. And maybe there's going to be some people that say I didn't love it. Maybe there's some people who wanted to, but it didn't reach their expectations. But I highly, highly doubt that you're going to see anybody out there who played Assassin's Creed and who actually played it,
Yes.
and didn't pretend, and didn't check out from playing the game. Okay.
Yeah. I think there's what's interesting about this too is that I think that you'll be able to tell.
Oh
who's
yeah,
played it or not,
100%.
Because of when you do get access to
the pretend gamers are going to be out in full force with this one. For sure.
I can't wait for the tweets to be like, Yosuke's not even in the game. They took him out. I'm like, you didn't play the game then? You didn't play that far.
And I will say, and that I think is also like a potential negative too, in that it does take a while to unlock basically the things that they've been advertising that you can play as a dual protagonist. I think that is like there are going to be people that are going to, because playing a long game is very hard to sell nowadays. Something that is a big open world RPG. I mean, Aaron, you played 40 hours in this. I'm 16 hours in, and how long are you in, Marcel?
20, 25.
Yeah, and we're all like, we've been fatigued out by so many long games like this, and I know that it's gonna be for some folks, it's gonna be a struggle just to get to that 10 to 12 hour point where you do unlock Yasuke. That I think is like it's going to turn people off. I think it's just going to be like not just because of the character and the DI woke bullshit. I'm talking about just the gameplay. That like I want to play as Yasuke. I don't want to play as a stealth Naoe anymore because she can't handle herself in a big kind of like waves of enemies type thing, whereas Yasuke can.
Just to interject, do you find her story can carry to the Yasuke part? Is it strong enough to carry?
I will say probably by about the time that I do unlock Yasuke, that's when I was starting to feel like I'm kind of I'm done with her for a bit.
Okay.
But it kind of hit after about hour 5. I was just like, hey, wait, where's Yasuke? And that's where I felt it.
There's something that happens very early in the game, like the very beginning, pretty much of the game, that impacts Naoe's character, that I felt was totally unearned, and I was like, I'm checked out. This is dumb. This feels like super tropey. None of this feels like what would actually happen in this situation, right? And then it was like there was some stuff that happened after the fact that I was like, oh, but that's pretty good. So like I like that. It just I don't feel like we earned getting to this point, you know? But I can't say that next part that I experienced was bad. I thought the writing was pretty good. I thought what they were doing with the characters was pretty good. And then I think it was that I was like, all right, let's see what this game's all about. And then I played through those however many hours to get to Yasuke. And by the time that we got to Yasuke, it felt like a nice reward. It was like, all right, here we go. Now we're getting into the real like meat and the bones of this game. But I don't know. There are some bits and pieces I feel that it just didn't earn it. They just didn't earn it. They were just trying to get us from point A to point B as quickly as possible, and establish these characters as quickly as possible without giving them a little bit of time to breathe.
Yep.
And so that frustrated me quite a bit. The one last thing I really wanted to complain about, because this frustrates the absolute living hell out of me. Every single mission in this game starts with, he's in this part of the open world. He was near this town.
Yeah.
He's here. And then you got to get scouts to try and find the exact area. If not, you got to go run around for 47 minutes around that potential area to find the person you got to talk to. What happens next? You talk to that person. All right. Great talking to you. I need you to go here now and talk to this person. Where is that person? He's in this part of the open world, in this town northeast, in this little corner. And it happens for almost every single mission.
Yeah.
Even so much so to the point where it's like, I've already spoken to this guy. I've been introduced to him. We now need to go talk to him to get ready for battle. But I need to find where he is. Why didn't he just tell me? Like, hey,
And
when you're ready to
even-
fight, I'm here. Like, come see me. Like,
And even with that, like, I'll get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm in the right area, but I've investigated the area enough. I'm like, but nothing unlocks as far as like where this guy is.
Yeah.
So then I have to send scouts just to be able to like to find him.
Just
I'm
get
like,
the exact location,
and to only find out that he's a block away. I'm like,
yeah. You know what
It's
started,
really
you know what
frustrating
started that?
and dumb.
Mirage started that, but without scouts. You had no. You had to
Oh
figure it
my
out.
Mirage had
God.
that,
You
yeah,
didn't even
without
have
scouts,
scouts.
Hell no. No, this part of the game is the worst
You
offense.
there is a setting that you can turn like guided exploration on where you don't have that, but it doesn't like there is still that little bit that they try to get you to use scouts.
Yeah.
But
they're still never going to
sucks,
give you the
though,
pinpoint location of
Right.
the person, right? You still have to go and find them.
still have to go and find
So
it.
it is
Yeah.
for me, it is the worst offense in this game of an augmented game
And
lengthener.
the worst part about it is that at the beginning of the game, you get one scout. You get one scout to try to find some, and then like when you finally unlock your hideout, where you can like you then have to purchase a building to be able to unlock more scouts. But then when you like because I'll say this, every season your scouts get renewed. You have to wait for the season to do that. You can fast track that.
Fast track it, yeah.
But there are times where you can't. Like I've basically been able. I've yet to be able to even figure out exactly when you can. I've just basically every time I go to it, whenever I need it, it's all like it's grayed out. But so it's like okay, but if you don't want to wait for a season, then you can go back to your hideout and you can refill your scouts. But you have to pay 200 coins every single time to refill one scout.
You don't have to go back to your hideout every time. Each area will have like a hideout area for you. You can
Right.
But you got to unlock them to pay with gold. Yes.
To be able to unlock it, because that was my way of unlock fast travel to get to that area, because there are certain castles or there's certain sync points that are in enemy castles that I can't get to. So I'm like,
the Yasuke points. You're like, oh, I gotta go there. Yasuke point right there.
Yeah, but it's like, so I'm like, okay, well, I can't get to that sync point because it's in an enemy castle. Okay, what is there anything around in this town where I can be able to? Oh yeah, okay, I can unlock this building. Oh, it costs 800 gold. I'm like, I have 600 gold right now. I'm like, fuck. Like the scouts to me, cool in concept, terrible execution. Like I feel like I'm being really microtransactioned in a game where I'm not spending any money in it.
But there's an option for that.
Though, there is the real money to get the in-game money if you'd like.
There is the memory stuff. There is the which is like, okay, that's a neat little wrinkle, whatever. But it's like I tried one. I tried one of those extra things where like it unlocks or it goes away after like 6 days. I can't even remember what they're called, like memories or what have you. And it's and I go I go to do the first one. I'm like, oh cool, it's nearby. I'll go do it. See what that's like. I'm thinking it's gonna unlock a cool mission, a cool little side thing of like get to peek a little bit more into the animus. Like you see a little bit more of a glitch. No, it's just assassinate a dude. And I did that within like the first 30 seconds, and I'm like, okay, done. Right. Great. I got an epic samurai outfit. Awesome.
It adds to the battle pass. First time in Assassin's Creed.
I will say it was pretty. It's pretty easy to get through that though, and honestly, it's free. They're free rewards. You just got to wait for the missions to pop up. Yeah. So like, I don't mind that as much. I got
3 days left to do mine.
I know. Yeah, I'm waiting for more stuff to show up. But yeah, like. I don't know. It was extremely frustrating to me that almost every main mission involves you having to locate a person to talk to. Just tell me where the hell they are, man. Just to like, it could be fun for some of the side objectives where it's like, you need to kill this clan of Ronin or whatever it might be, right? Yeah. They're in these locations. Find them, kill them, right? Like that could be cool.
So I think that started a little bit within Valhalla, and the reason being for that was, from what I heard from I think the game director at the time, was that they didn't want to spoon feed you. They wanted you to earn because they felt it was too easy. They felt it was too easy to be if you had the next sort of waypoint.
So and I would agree with that. It's just that they take it too far. Like I
Yes.
said, I could be introduced to a character already who's now a part of this mission line, this quest line that I'm doing, right? And even when it comes to the next part of the quest is I need to go back and talk to this guy that I already have spoken to and have been introduced to. I need to find where he is. It's like, just tell me where he is. Like, please. Like,
I would have thought like
it's padding the stats of the game's length. Like that is exactly why they're doing this.
There's a prime example I have is someone you meet for the league, and like you talk to him, and he's like, "All right, go meet me here." I'm like, "You mean literally like the next block?" Like why don't we just walk together?
Yeah,
then?
like
let's go. Why can't I just follow? Like
there's cutscenes. Why not just make that like no meet me
and
there?
There's literally an option that you can basically like you could just like hold X and it'll auto follow you to wherever you need to go.
So why don't we just do it for that? But like no, meet me there with that blue squares. And I'm like, but you're with me right now. And
augmented game
and he's
lengtheners.
Just leaning there waiting. I'm like, are you not?
They want to say that this game is 80 hours long. When very easily they can shave 20 of those hours off.
100%. I should be done by now.
Here's like so there's this minor spoilers, but not really. It's like there is a certain aspect when you do unlock like you do because you do have a hideout. That is the thing. You can be able to build up your hideout. You can add like buildings and stuff like that. But then there are also allies that you can be able to kind of unlock to kind of be used within situations where you kind of like need to kind of whether to get away from a stealth thing or you need to attack somebody and you can't do it yourself. Like it's just so you get like you can have these characters, essentially these NPCs that are your allies that you can sort of utilize within the game. When I heard about the idea of using scouts to basically to kind of like to find the areas or where like the locations of where you need to go, I would have thought like it would have been more like the allies sort of thing, being like, well, you get to know that character is like. You get to know a little bit about their story, their background. Like that's your scout, like that's your head scout, and it's like awesome, dude. Like great, like I wanted like a whole team of scouts. Like at any given point, being like you see a scout like searching out there's treasure over there, or there's an NPC over here, and they're using whistles and signals and stuff that basically to let you know. Like that to me is the idea of a scout. But in this, if it's just to try to pinpoint a point on the map where you need to go. It's bloated for the sake of
it's arbitrary. It doesn't
exactly.
add anything to the story
and bring back some stuff too. Which, by the way, I can never find a pallet of rocks. It's always pallets of wood. Where's my pallet of rocks?
And not a lot of rocks.
Come on, man. Where's that at?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's you're absolutely right. I think it's like it's a good idea on concept on paper, but not in like not in the way they execute it every
time.
It just made too much of the game feel like they're trying to make this longer, like they're making this harder for me because they want to tell me that this game is long, and it's like it doesn't have to be like it doesn't.
Mirage was kind of the same way as well. We're just how like. Okay, get these 2 clues to get this enemy. Get these
like
2
that, clues. But the difference within
get these
Mirage,
4 clues to get this guy. Even though you're like,
I
know
that's
where
the difference between Mirage and this. Whereas, like within like, and they kind of did this a little bit in Shadows, but you haven't played Mirage, have you, Aaron?
No, I have not.
Okay, so Mirage is like the way they do it is. It kind of feels like you're a detective, like you're searching out clues to try to find the identity of your targets. Okay. And they do the same thing in Shadows, like the whole searching out the league. You're trying to be able to find like do certain missions to try to find the identity of the people that are your targets.
Right.
In Mirage, they blend the exploration mode as part of the investigation, so it feels more like that you're basically a detective. Whereas this it feels like the 2 are separated,
right? Like it's part of the story that you're looking for.
Yeah, where it feels the exploration stuff in Mirage, it feels part of the story. This just feels like it's just gameplay.
Yeah. Okay, see that I definitely would have liked it a little more than I'm gonna play Mirage at some point because I'm feeling the.
It's great, and it's a shorter it's a shorter game, 20 hours.
I don't know.
In one map of Baghdad. That's it. It's great.
I don't know if there's just something at Ubisoft like a mandate of the game has to be this long or don't make it or something, or it's not getting the green light. Like I don't know what it is about these games, especially when it comes to the RPG specific Assassin's Creed titles, where they have to be so long. Like an RPG that's 40 to 50 hours has just as much content to keep me sucked in for longer than that as something that is that 80-hour baseline.
I think it's because they're trying to be able to, and this has been a thing I've had about Assassin's Creed games for a minute. When they introduced the RPG aspect into Origins, it was kind of revolutionary for the Assassin's Creed franchise. It was something that was new, it was different. And you can, like, even within the maps of themselves, like, it still had that kind of like the AC sort of gameplay, but now you're actually upgrading your character.
Right.
I think when it came to, say, when it started with like Odyssey a little bit, and then with Valhalla, absolutely going forward, it felt like that they were trying to be able to be as broad of a game as possible to try to bring in as many people as possible. That maybe have never played an Assassin's Creed game before. And I think that's kind of the similar thing with Shadows, in that it's again, kind of like talking about, there's not a lot of Assassin's Creed-ness to this Assassin's Creed game, because they're trying to be able to kind of it's like a historical game that is set within this, like, a specific franchise that you don't necessarily need to know about in order to be able to kind of understand what's going on. And because I think they're trying to be as broad as possible and trying to be able to do as many things as possible. I think that's what adds to the bloatiness of how long these games are. They're trying to pad gameplay time. They're trying to keep people in the game as much as possible. And now that they're also adding a battle pass, they're adding in a little bit of games of service. Like, it feels like this, like, Ubisoft is kind of learning the wrong lessons when it comes to their franchises, and that they think longer and bigger is better.
Yep.
And they don't need, like, they've scaled back a little bit, because I think Valhalla was that to an extreme. But
Valhalla two seasons, by the way.
Yeah,
and I did 3 maps. I was like, oh my god,
3 maps. And not talking about not even like small maps. They are like, one of those maps would have been a full Assassin's Creed game in and of itself. And they have 3 of them in Valhalla. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's Ubisoft is in a weird space where they are abiding by 10-year-old type, like, they're thinking of gamers like from 10 years ago, and that they're interested in these kind of games, like, the longer and the bigger the better, but they haven't updated with the times. And that, I think, has been a big problem of Ubisoft in general, is that, because even you look at their Ubisoft forwards, they're the only ones that do these live in person.
Yeah.
And that was a staple, like, well over 7 years ago. Like, not everybody, like no one does live showcases anymore. And it's because they're kind of in that they need to have a live presentation in order to be able to make it worthwhile. It's like, no, you don't. Like, they've other like Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, even EA has kind of even learned that you don't have to have a live presentation in order to be able to do it. And that's again kind of showcasing, it's like they're still still operating by the same playbook from 10 years ago. And that is where I think that kind of why we're still in that too big of a game right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Hit the nail on the head there, bang on the money. They're still operating from the mindset of how people thought games were supposed to be long ago. And that's why in some aspects, or in some sense, I can look at this game and be like, it just feels like it's from the 360 era, where it was like, where an RPG needed to be like 1 billion hours long, like it's just, now gamers, like, we don't really want that anymore. Like, our back catalog is too large, Ubisoft. Let me finish
4
the
games
game.
coming out this week. Damn it!
Let me finish the damn game, please. even in time for this review, like, I've been playing every day. You guys as well have been playing every day. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We still haven't been able to finish the game in time for the review. Like, it's too much. Too much, and a lot of it. I'm telling you, I'm not even exaggerating. At least 10 hours of this game. It is augmented game lengtheners, slowly walking with the person you're speaking to from point A to point B. Mind you, they stop talking and the conversation's over about 70% of the way where you need to get to, where you're following them to, right? Yeah. Almost every time. The fact that I need to pinpoint, locate people I need to speak to through an entire mission chain every single time, and through a bunch of different side quests, the same thing. it's really frustrating.
Yeah. I'm
I
kind of
don't, I
sick and
don't know if
tired
you
of.
guys. Sorry, just gonna say very quickly. I don't know if you guys ran into the problem as well, where you had to upgrade your hideout, and like, but there was if you were short on material, like you had a good luck finding. Like, yeah, they had to find time.
I've every
find
time I
that
want to
as
upgrade,
well.
I always ran
That,
out, like
that took
didn't have
time
enough.
as well to locate. Like once again, like I think for me it was just wood. I needed like 30 wood. I was like, where the hell is this? Like, where is it?
Even down to I just killed everyone in this area in this castle. They're all dead. They're all eviscerated.
Yeah.
I can't fast travel until I leave the castle.
Yeah,
Like,
because it's still
just
an
let
enemy
me
territory.
go, man.
Yeah.
Like the augmented game lengtheners. I'm telling you, there's so much padding the stats in this game that's just forcing it to be longer.
And like I said, even within the story themselves,
content.
like I'm sick and tired of going to a guy to go talk to another guy to go talk to another guy to do a thing for another guy to do another thing for another guy. Like like there's an episode of like I don't know if you ever like watch MASH, you guys, but like that was one of my favorite shows as a kid. But there was an episode where Hawkeye and BJ, they were trying to be able to like they need to get new boots because they like it was so cold, the weather was so cold that they need to get new boots. They had to go to throughout the entire camp asking one person, "Can you get me new boots?" Well, no, I need to be able to get I need this first. So you go to be able to get that first from one person. Oh no, I need to be able to get this from this guy. And it's like 5 layers of things you have to do just to be able to unlock the thing that you wanted. And that's throughout this entire game. And it's like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like it just in this one, it's just like you're right. It's arbitrarily padding for the sake of padding. I don't need to go travel across the map to go find different like a statue of somewhere so I can take it back to this one guy so I can convince him to be able to join this other guy so I can actually be able to do the thing with the original guy so like and take out the castle. Like it's so much like I'm like running around. I'm like, I'm done. Like, just can I move forward with the story, please? And I know we're nitpicking this like to death, and we're sounding extremely harsh on this. Again, this is a game that we are loving. Like, I'm loving to play. I can't get enough of it. I'm still I want to jump into it tonight before I go to bed because I kind of want to see where the thing goes.
This podcast, I'm jumping right back into it.
Exactly. Like I'm so. This is the epitome of, and it's an absolute 7 out of 10. And if any of the stuff I talked about to you or that we talked about like in this, like the nitpicky stuff just kind of like grinds your gears, then you don't have to play it. But if that aside, it's like, yeah, I can sort of stomach that. It's not really a big nitpicky thing to me. Absolutely play this game. It is gorgeous. The story is great. The characters are great. The gameplay is awesome when it like clicks, and it's a great Japanese RPG. It could have been a better AC game, but that's another thing in and of itself. It's just it's a good to solid game that I think that unfortunately, if a lot of other reviewers are very similar to us, and it's a good solid game, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people are going to be against it, and this won't sell, and this is going to send Ubisoft into another spiral.
Who even knows? Yeah,
I did see it was #1 on Amazon pre-order. So.
I mean, the marketing, like it's got that cover is
it was trending
pops,
yesterday.
right?
It's a great looking cover.
Pops. The colors pop, right? The red background, all that stuff, it works. So a lot of people are going to be interested just off that alone. It is very much the type of game that you see on the shelf and you're like, ooh, I might pick that up.
Yeah.
That looks cool. So like I have a feeling that it could do well, but what could have separated this from being one of the bigger Ubisoft titles is I honestly genuinely believe it's that padding of stats more than its lack of Assassin's Creed-ness. More than anything, it's how much of the game is like forcing you to like get your way through it and making it longer, again, by force, not by gameplay, not by content, but strictly by we're making this longer for the sake of it. You know, like those type of things are really frustrating. And I think it's going to set a lot of people back on this being a great game when it is like it's fine. Like the game is fine. And combat wise, if you're a guy who you don't care about story, you don't give a shit about any of that, you just want a fun game to play that has good combat, this could be right up your alley. Genuinely.
Absolutely.
I would say, like, I know, like, because I found the beginning. It did start off with a little Assassin's Creed tightness with the animus talking, glitching out, going through the history, and even like while you were like playing as Nawe, it even checks in on you, like, hey, like the game just like destroys the whole world and like, hey, checking in on you, like, what do you think? Oh, like, oh, but I'll talk to you later, type of scenario. But that was like 19 hours ago. Like, when are you coming back? Like, whereas we're in Valhalla, there were like breaking points in Valhalla. Like, it was 2 scientists in the present day, and then they sent someone back to be Eivor, which is that assassin that time era. And they sent him back, and then like there were like little like intermission points where like it will bring you back to the present time, where it kind of like connects to the game and its story to the end, which like I found like even that the Valhalla's like main ending story is probably one of the best ones I played of this new Assassin's Creed era.
Really?
Because it I don't know if any of you, I mean, if any of you plan on playing it, I'll be happy to tell you right now, but
it's too big of a game for me to be able to even want to play.
Boost, you don't mind?
It's the last one. You can spoil it, my friend.
All right, perfect. Well, if for that one, you deal with Basim, who's the main assassin in Mirage.
Yeah,
and he actually comes back and like takes over. Basically he's like, you battle him, but somehow he was able to escape and become immortal, and he's back in the present time. And I was like, how the hell are you here right now? And they never explained it. I was like, how is this guy here? And then you end up playing him in the main game, but then it was a prequel in the Mirage. So
wait, you're talking about that happened in Valhalla?
Happened in Valhalla. You battle because you meet Basim in Valhalla.
Yeah, he's kind of like a companion character,
sort of companion character.
And then he's the main character.
And then
he's the main character in Mirage.
He turns out to be Loki because you're end up being
right. That is I did hear
The story
because you're playing as
cool,
as like Odin is
you're Odin, and then I can't remember who was Thor, or was someone else was just
I can't remember.
But like he turns out to be like a reincarnated Loki, and then you battle him out because apparently they have a machine that makes you immortal and lasts forever and everything like that. And then you trap him in the machine, and like Eivor goes live her life and eventually passes away due to natural life
age,
death and everything, and everything. But then Basim escapes the machine, and as he's back in the present time, and the 2 scientists that you are, that will like connects
they connect with him.
Basim just walks through the door and be like, "Yo, what's up, bitches?" You're like, "What the? Like, what are you doing here?"
I didn't even know that.
It's crazy. The ending's wild.
That's actually pretty good. That's pretty good.
Really, I was like, "Holy shit!" And so like that's why I thought when like the new season was coming out, I'm like, "Oh, maybe he's like, oh, I came to like get vengeance on you guys." Never explained. We would just visit Ireland. You visit Paris. I'm like, okay, maybe. And then they announced them for Mirage. I'm like, oh, maybe you play
for Mirage. Yeah,
but no, you play as a prequel of him and like how his body something. That's all I gotta say. If you plan on playing it, I don't want to spoil.
I want to play Mirage. I don't really want to play. Valhalla was just too big for me. It just was way too big for me.
Like that'll take you 5 years. To be honest, it'll take you 5 years.
I
guess it looks like you guys are selling out of 7. Both of you?
I'd say 7. Yeah, good solid 7. Accessibility wise, I would also kind of give it a 3, maybe a 3.5 ish, because it does have some pretty decent accessibility.
Out of 5 though, right?
Out of 5, yeah. If I had to give it a 10, sorry. Out of 10, I probably would still give it about 6.5. Mm-hmm. I'd say probably for accessibility, 6.5, maybe a 7-ish, but it's kind of pushing it. Yeah.
Where I am right now, I'm at a 7 as well. But like, if something crazy happens with the story, I could probably add like a 0.5, I guess, if anything. But where I'm at right now, I have like 4 of them left. That's what I'm just gonna say. And you know who them are.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I'm at about a 7 as well. I think I agree with you, Marcel. It could bump up if something crazy happens towards the end of the story. But even then, like, I don't know how much of it could bump up simply from the fact that like it took so long to get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I really wish that there was a little more that made it Assassin's Creed. It's not a bad game. I can't sit here and tell you that it's a bad game. I can't sit here and tell you don't pick it up. I would, if you're thinking about grabbing it, if you're looking forward to grabbing it, you're probably going to end up liking it. There is enough here to like, It's just when you're looking objectively and you kind of look at the grand scheme of things and you see the full package, there's a lot that I can pick apart, which is unfortunate. I don't know if this is going to be the big massive win that maybe Ubisoft wants it to be, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, awesome. Well, available now, everyone, pick it up.
Go grab it.
There's a lot to do in the game. It's one of the most beautiful Assassin's Creed game, especially environmental and sound design as well. It's really, really breathtaking. And we spent a lot of time in photo mode, but they need to add some more filters in photo mode. Although the shadow filter looks pretty dope. I like that one. But
yeah, it's kind of like almost like a Kurosawa type mode, which I thought that was kind of dope. Yeah. But
pretty much go pick it up and. That's pretty much it. Steve, what's going on for you for the rest of the week? Any more reviews?
No. It's not specifically reviews other than like my specific Assassin's Creed Shadow accessibility review will be out as of this recording goes up. When is this going up at noon or at the time of embargo?
Yeah, which is 10.
Okay.
They updated it, by the way, so it's 10 o'clock.
There is something that as of when this episode launches, half an hour later, there is a special unboxing video that's on my channel that you can be able to check out if you're into the accessibility stuff. That's basically kind of all I can really say. But then the rest of this week is basically I'm going to try to jump into some more WWE 2K25. I've been like I'm tried a little bit on Friday. It's not. It's not accessible because there's a lot of times where like you have to do very specific moves and I can't figure out how to do the specific moves, the timing of it all. So, but I'm more interested in jumping into the My GM and the My Rise stuff anyway. So, more interested in that. I'll be jumping into that. But yeah, I'll be streaming all this week, Monday to Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and then every weekday morning is my gaming podcast, news podcast, Gaming Insight Daily. You can go check that out on YouTube or any other podcast podcast player of choice.
Cool. Fun fact: you can unlock Stone Cold's truck.
Oh no! Wait, really?
As an entrance. That's the damn bottom line. That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Caboose, how about yourself? What's going on for the rest of the week?
Yeah, gonna get through.
I'm just joking.
Oh, you son of a gun.
No, it does matter. It does matter.
It does matter. It better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna play some more Assassin's Creed. Gonna try and get to the finish line with that game. Still playing some more Marvel Rivals. I got some merch out there right now as well.
The merch.
It looks
good.
Nice. It looks great.
I love it. That looks really good, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. And then you can check me out Twitter and Instagram at CabooseEK and YouTube.com/Caboose.
Cool. For me, we got of course Assassin's Creed reviews coming out, and then MLB, and then 33 Immortals. I'm sure I'm missing one more other one, but yeah, it's
games,
a lot of stuff
video games,
games. A busy week. March break was last week. What are they doing, man? Come on, they're crazy.
No, they gave you time to be able to review the game last week because of March break, but now it's like you got to put it out.
Now, here you go. Have fun. But yeah, we'll see you all here next week. Take care, everyone.